we've got a busy graphic here, pulling everything together, and we can see that we have a maintenance program. National Airworthiness Authority approves the operator's maintenance program. Why does the operator own the program? Because the program should be specific to the operator's needs and the operator's environment, nature, and so on and so on. So we've got, feeding into this, lots of different elements. For example, airworthiness directives can impact the maintenance program. The MRB report through the MPD can influence the maintenance program. We've got various vendor OEM requirements. It might be that the vendor or the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer of a component, makes a recommendation concerning the component. And we evaluate the recommendation and we agree that it's worthwhile. So we put that into our maintenance program. We've also got other operator requirements. For example, our emergency equipment brings with it additional requirements which go into the maintenance program. And we've got airworthiness limitations which come from the system safety analysis. And we've got, on an ongoing basis, service bulletins, service letters, other best practice information, and so on and so on. So all of these guys need to be analysed and included into this process. So MSG3, as we understand, is the current method used for developing the scheduled maintenance tasks and intervals which will be acceptable to the regulatory authority, because the regulatory authority want to know where the source data for the maintenance program has come from. If we show them it's come from the MPD, then essentially that's okay. They will accept this as a source. It also has to be acceptable to the operators, and it has to be acceptable to the manufacturers. All of these groups are stakeholders. The remaining maintenance, that is non-scheduled or non-routine maintenance, consists of maintenance actions to correct discrepancies noted during the scheduled maintenance tasks. So we find something wrong and we defer it, but we need at some point in the future to perform a maintenance activity to correct it. For each potential failure, MSG3 guidelines provide task-orientated logic to determine the appropriate scheduled maintenance task. And so we finish up with a task-orientated maintenance program. It's not packaged as checks, it's packaged as tasks. And we can pack the tasks in the way that's best suited to our operation. For example, we can put tasks and create a larger check, or we can have a smaller number of tasks and create a series of smaller checks. This is the difference between the block concept and the equalized concept. And we can have variations of the above as well, which we will look at.
So, like those tasks defect, understand, must it be tied to the area? Like when you defer an item.
So, when we talk about defects,
yeah,
this is something different to the task in the maintenance program. The task in the maintenance program is a requirement to perform a maintenance action. When we have a defect, we have to resolve that defect before the aircraft flies. And I use the word resolve intentionally because I didn't say fix, I said resolve. When we resolve the defect, we have choice. we can defer the defect in accordance with the minimum equipment list if that is allowable. If it's not allowable, we may have to fix the defect before the aircraft flies. So the decision is made based on understanding what the defect is. And the MEL, the minimum equipment list, is a document that is created during the initial certification process of the aircraft. And just like before when we were talking about redundancy, and we said, an example of redundancy is two engines on a two-engine aeroplane. If we look closer, we see that, for example, in the hydraulic and flight control. Both flight controls and hydraulics are essential systems on aircraft. So we will typically see multiple hydraulic systems, and we will see flying controls with dual hydraulic actuation. So, for example, the aileron actuator is operated by two separate hydraulic systems. So we can have a failure of a hydraulic system and we still have full use of the flying control. So this built-in redundancy allows us to have some flexibility in terms of the operation. In terms of the hydraulic systems, for example, we will have hydraulic pumps which are running all the time the engines are running, producing hydraulic pressure. We also have, independently, electric hydraulic pumps. So if an engine hydraulic pump fails, the electric hydraulic pump can produce enough pressure to operate the flying control. And so it goes on. And this process has been developed over decades, understanding how to build in safety and redundancy. And as a byproduct, it allows us to develop a minimum equipment list and say, okay, for 3 days, it's acceptable that this hydraulic pump is not working, for example. And that gives us the flexibility to keep the aircraft in service without impacting the safety. Why? Because we've built in a margin of safety. So we're not impacting safety, we're impacting our margin of additional safety. This is the rationale. Tasks are selected in a hierarchy of difficulty and cost from lowest to highest, depending on the consequence of failure, safety, operational, economic, hidden safety, and hidden non-safety. These are the primary MSG3 terms that we will become accustomed to. We will refer to these multiple times. Safety means that the task, that the system must work, that the task is related to the maintenance of the system. Operational, for operational expediency, we need to have this. Economic means it's good practice from a financial point of view to do this task. Hidden safety is a critical consideration. Why? Because it affects the safety of the operation and it's hidden from the crew, so that the failure of this system will not be evident. So these are hidden safety is one of the tasks, if you like, that makes us sit up and take notice. We pay very, very special attention to this particular task. And then we get hidden non-safety. Means we don't know about it, but it doesn't really hurt us. So big difference between the two. And of course we can have a combination. You don't have to just select one, we can have a combination.